Blackbeard is dead, and none of Badge's and others under his team have been spared. With the joint efforts of Crocodile and Shiryu, Impel Down collapsed. The ruins were buried in the infinite ocean floor, leaving a huge Uzumaki in place, which could not be dissipated for a long time. On a small island a few kilometers away from Impel Down, a fat blue man carried Magellan in a coma on his back and landed ashore. Looking back, Jinbei happened to see Impel Down being destroyed, and there was endless horror in his heart. Crocodile, they really are so bold. Jinbei didn't know Crocodile and the others. Why would they have such confidence that they dare to commit the heinous crime of 743s, and are they not afraid that the world government will never die? However, Jinbei doesn't have time to think about that much at this time. He must rush to Marineford as soon as possible. Rescuing Magellan, Jinbei admits that he has repaid the favor of Marine that he has been in 7 warlords of the sea over the years. Next, he will fight for the old man Whitebeard and fight to save Ace. Even if you pay the price of your life for this, you will not hesitate. Marineford. Sengoku's psychological warfare, on the surface, seems to be ineffective. The pirates still believe in and respect Whitebeard, and the war with Marine has once again fallen into a stalemate. But in fact, when Sengoku saw Akainu returning, he knew that his true purpose was achieved. Aboard the Moby Dick. At this moment, only Whitebeard was the only one, and the other captains all went down and fought with Marine. A figure walked up from behind Moby Dick, scarred. Marco, who was not too far away from Moby Dick, kept his attention on Dad's side. I found Scuderd's figure, and asked suspiciously, "Why are you here?" "Nothing." Scuderd's Kaido was indifferent. There was a bad feeling in Marco's heart, and he always felt that Scud was a little strange. Especially when Scud came in front of the old man, the bad feeling became more and more intense. Marco was about to say something, but it was too late. Scud suddenly pulled out his long sword, his eyes flashed with incomparable hatred, and he even inserted the sword into Whitebeard's chest. "Hey! Did you finally do it?" Sengoku and Akainu have been paying attention to the movement of the Moby Dick. Seeing that Scud successfully took the bait and drew his sword at Whitebeard, Akainu couldn't help but sneer on his face. However, just when Sengoku and Akainu thought that the strategy succeeded, Whitebeard was about to be hit hard. Suddenly, the earth shook violently. The Moby Dick also shook violently. Scud was unstable, but the long sword was wiped from the edge of Whitebeard's chest. At the same time, the huge iceberg surrounding Marineford shattered every inch and broke away in a blink of an eye. What happened? What happened? The iceberg of Aokiji Admiral is actually broken. People were panicked, surprised, and wondering who made such a big move. What happened? Don't mention how annoyed Sengoku and Akainu were. They were about to seriously hurt Whitebeard, but they were ruined by this sudden shock. Who made the ghost? Come out to the old man. Sengoku shouted angrily. I looked at a place where the iceberg was broken and revealed. There, he felt an unusual aura. Sorry, everyone, this iceberg is too obstructive, and the movement is inevitably a bit louder. The ice fragments dispersed, and a boat emerged. And when everyone saw the person on the ship who had just spoken, they all couldn't help but breathe in air conditioning. 4 emperors, red-haired Shanks, why is he here? It turned out to be another 4 emperor. Is he a reinforcement of the Whitebeard pirate group? The redhead appeared suddenly, too suddenly. Even Sengoku's heart jumped suddenly. Asshole redhead. Sengoku's original plan was basically aimed at Whitebeard alone. Now suddenly a red hair pops up and things become more and more difficult. Shichibukai over there. The smile at the corner of Dover's mouth seemed as if there was nothing. The timing of the red hair was just right. Otherwise, next, Whitebeard will be stabbed by the eldest son Scud, which would be no fun. Of course, the arrival of red hair also means that Kaido and the ant should not be far away. Aside, the Empress Hancock saw the red hair for the first time. Is this the man who claims to have the strongest conquerors in the world? That's not great, it's nothing more than a stinky man. Hancock's beautiful eyes are arrogant. Except for Dover, no man in this world can see her 4.6. Red hair. Do you want to intervene in the changes of this era? Hawkeye stared at the red hair, thinking silently. Whether it is marine or pirate, whether it is admiral or Shichibukai, they are all shocked and lost by the arrival of the red hair. Only Marco, who reacted for the first time, spread out the wings of the phoenix, rushed to Whitebeard's side in an instant, and kicked Scarred away. Scouyard, what did you just want to do? Do you want to assassinate old man? Marco's angry roar made the hearts of the people present again shocked. Someone is going to assassinate Whitebeard? People's eyes turned to the Moby Dick. I saw that Marco was glaring at Scarred, and the latter was staring at Whitebeard with a hateful look. Scouyard, it is Scouyard who is going to assassinate old man. Asshole Scouyard, is he crazy? The pirates yelled at Scouyard. At this time, Whitebeard, who had been silent for a long time, finally made a sound. He stared at Scouyard with a deep gaze. That kind of look made Scouyard's body tremble. The majesty of Whitebeard is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Everyone in the Whitebeard pirate group almost treats Dad as a godlike existence. Tell me, Scouyard, why? Whitebeard's majestic voice hit Scouyard's heart, and the latter gritted his teeth and said viciously. Don't admit it yet. Whitebeard, you have clearly conspired with Marine to betray our pirates and only protect Ace and the people on your own ship. Scuya 11 told him all the truth, Akainu told him. In the end, he shouted wildly. But, in the end, what makes me painful is that you know that Roger is my enemy, but you have taken in his son. Whitebeard, you are not sure to be your son at all. Scarred finished roaring and gasped. The grievance and anger in his heart exploded. Next, he was ready to endure Whitebeard's anger and closed his eyes and waited for death. So this is all. Whitebeard fell into a moment of silence. He walked to Scouyard step by step and looked down at his poor son. Scouyard trembled all over, facing the daddy's gaze. He no longer had the courage to resist at this time. Whitebeard Jhin put out his big hand. Scouyard's face was pale. Just when everyone thought Whitebeard was going to kill the latter, Whitebeard had Scouyard in his arms. Really, my stupid son. A sad cry makes Scouyard dumbfounded on the spot. I did conceal Ace's identity, but why did the hatred of the previous generation spread to the innocent next generation? Have you ever had a good time with Ace? Scouyard was wooden, as if stupid. Whitebeard stood up. Someone asked. Father, are you really secretly allied with Marine? Are you all idiots? How could father do that? Marco roared angrily. Whitebeard did not answer directly. He faced Marine, Sengoku, and the whole Marineford. A low, suppressed angry voice came from his throat. It's ridiculous to say that I betrayed my son. It's a good way, Sengoku. Holding Kong Yunshi in his left hand, he felt tightly with the fist of his right hand. The muscles are bulging inch by inch, the blue veins are bulging, and an amazing and terrifying force is gathering on Whitebeard's right fist. Sengoku's face was very ugly at this time, and Akainu's face was also gloomy. They were really stealing rice this time. Blame damn its red hair. Sengoku was angry, but he was worthy of being Marshal Marine, and he calmed down extremely quickly. The situation has become quite bad, and he must calm down. You successfully angered me. Just heard Whitebeard yell. Right fist wraps a circle of transparent energy balls. Next moment, the fist hits fiercely. Boom. The atmosphere burst in an instant. Extremely violent and terrifying waves, following the atmosphere, directly rushed into the port, and rushed to the place where Sengoku and other Marine high levels stood. Ah! Help, help me. Where the terror wave passed, the ground cracked, and all Marine soldiers along the way were crushed to death. The screams came and went one after another. It is foreseeable that if such fluctuations are actually hit on the execution platform, the entire execution platform will be broken immediately. Never let the execution platform be destroyed. Sengoku immediately ordered. Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji. 3 Admiral came to the bottom of the execution table together, stretched out his hands, and urged Haki. Buzz. The terror wave collided with 3 Admirals' Haki, and finally disappeared. Humph. Is it blocked? Then what about the next punch? Whitebeard sneered, and the shock wave converged on his fist again. There is no need for the pain and torture in the original work. At this time Whitebeard's strength has not fallen too much. Wait a minute, Whitebeard. Just when Whitebeard was about to continue to show his power, Hongfa hurried to catch up. Huh. Whitebeard paused for a while, and the police glanced at the red hair and said lightly, What's the matter, red-haired boy? Are you here to stop me again? When Ace went to chase Blackbeard, Redhead stopped Whitebeard once. The redhead was not good, and Whitebeard seemed impossible to listen to him. But this time the situation is different. Red Hair must try to stop it anyway. Whitebeard, you can no longer fight Marine, otherwise this war will develop to a point beyond your control. Huh. What a lie. Whitebeard said with disdain, if you were talking about these things, then get out of the way and don't get in the way. No, it's not that simple. The red voice made a deep voice, and said a word that made everyone who was the only one exception to Dover breathe a cold breath. Do you know that Kaido and Big Mom are coming for this war right now? Dead. A red-haired sentence immediately caused the audience to fall into a certain state of dead silence. Gudong. Someone swallowed and smiled reluctantly. Red hair scares us, right? What are Kaido and Andy doing here? That's right. I heard that there is no harmony between the four emperors. How could Aunt Kaido come to help the Whitebeard pirates? What if they didn't come to help Whitebeard? People are skeptical and horrified. Whitebeard frowned and finally lowered his fist. What you said is true. The red hair solemnly said. I'm not the kind of man who can't tell the difference. Then, the red hair turned to Sengoku in the distance and said loudly. Marshal Sengoku, you heard that too. Once Kaido and Andy arrive, the course of the war may not be what you want to see. Sengoku's expression at the moment was gloomy. The direction of this battlefield has deviated too much from the direction he planned earlier. The biggest accident was the sudden arrival of the red hair, which made the plan to assassinate Whitebeard failed, and made the pirates even more powerful. And now, Hongfa even said that the remaining four emperors were also coming towards Marineford. It is because Sengoku has always been calm and intelligent, and at this time can't help but feel a little nervous and flustered. Send a search team down to see if what the red hair said is true. Sengoku barely maintained his composure. The possibility of red-haired alarmism cannot be ruled out, so Sengoku has to confirm it personally. After Marine went down and searched, Sengoku responded to the red-haired question. Redhead, what is your purpose for coming here? My purpose. The red hair had firm eyes, and said every word. Just stop this war. However, I also know that it is not so easy to do so. The red-haired voice, Haki, contained a certain involuntary convincing meaning. Therefore, I hope everyone present can sell my face and stop this war that is bound to cause disastrous consequences. The sound reached everyone's ears, making the atmosphere on the court suddenly condensed. Sell him face? Huh. That's a big breath, Hancock snorted coldly. Don't you think his words are really convincing? Dover on the side smiled playfully. Look, many Marines and pirates have been shaken. As Dover said, there are indeed quite a few people who are almost persuaded by redheads. The reason why red hair has such a face is that some people say that red hair has eaten the fruit of face. But as Dover observed just now, the greater possibility is that the red hair uses Conqueror's Haki, which is known as the world's #1, while talking. Conqueror's Haki is born with convincing power, and the red-haired Conqueror's is even more extraordinary. And if you want to not be affected by the red-haired Conquerors, at least you have to have Conquerors. No, the Empress who owns Conquerors is totally disapproving. Hancock's porcelain white jade hand was in the willow waist, Chi Doctor's long black hair fluttering, his eyes were high and cold, showing the style of the Empress, completely unaffected by the red hair. Goo la 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 la. A loud laugh resounded. Everyone suddenly woke up from the influence of the red hair. Just listen to Whitebeard's voice. Redhead, are you still a kid? What if the two little ghosts, Kaido and Big Mom, come? Lousy as Whitebeard. The extremely heroic spirit swept the audience, instantly covering up the domineering spirit of the red hair. Lousy, we must rescue Ace. Whitebeard's tone was categorical. Obviously, he wouldn't sell it to redheads for this face. Redhead obviously knows this, but he hasn't given up on his efforts. I know about Ace very well, so Marine. Red hair looked at Sengoku. Is it possible to see if I can put Ace on my face? I will explain this to 5 elders afterwards. In order to prevent the war, Hongfa actually contacted him with 5 elders and spoke out. Red hair, in this matter, even Beckman, who is most familiar with red hair, did not expect red hair to do this step. At Marine, Everyone was shocked. 5 elders? A pirate, even if he is 4 emperors, can meet the top leadership of the world government, 5 elders, and have a conversation? Sengoku's eyes widened too. He didn't expect the relationship between red hair to be so hard. It is said that the red-haired life experience is indeed very mysterious, and the character of the former, it is impossible to lie. It's about 5 elders, even Sengoku can't help but shake his heart vividly. After all, he did not hesitate to fight Whitebeard, and he must publicly execute Ace. On the one hand, it is to deter pirates and re-establish Marine's prestige. On the other hand, it is to be able to deal with 5 elders. Just when Sengoku was also wobbly, an angry voice rang from behind Sengoku. Never let go of One Piece's son, da-da. The footsteps approached, and a red figure came up. If we succumb to the pirate this time, then our marine's face will be completely lost. Akainu. Sengoku looked at Akainu who came up. Finally, he nodded and agreed with Akainu's words. Akainu, you are right. This time Marine can't compromise anyway. Sengoku took a deep breath and said to the red hair. Red hair, I forgive you for not agreeing to your request. Red hair heard the words and sighed in my heart. Did the last effort also fail? It seems that war is really inevitable. In that case. When he came, the red hair naturally had made plans after Marine refused. I saw it pulled out the western sword from his waist and held it in his hand. So in order to end the war as soon as possible, I can only save Ace as soon as possible. Suddenly, the atmosphere became dagger again. Shanks drew out the western sword to fight Marine. The pirates' morale was shaken. The power of the 2-4 emperors is indescribable, and the world is shocked. Damn its red hair. Sengoku's face was sullen and angry, but he was not too flustered yet. The red hair only took a dozen people. Although they were all masters, Marine still had the advantage in terms of strength. Only. Kaido and Anti, are they really here? This is a great threat. Sengoku is confident to deal with the 4 emperors, Whitebeard and Redhead, but if Kaido and Anti are added, the situation is quite bad for Marine. It must be a quick fight. Sengoku made up his mind. Immediately ordered. Listen to the executioner, and immediately put Ace, the son of Pirate King Gear, D. Roger, to death. The situation is ever-changing, and there is no room for optimism. Sengoku wants to cut the mess with a sharp knife and directly destroy Ace, the root of the evil. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. The 2 executioners were ordered to raise their long swords without saying anything. On the side, Garp, who was silent for a long time, was trembling with tears in his eyes. But, after all, it did not make any unusual moves because of the restriction of its position. Sengoku was also secretly observing the state of Garp and his old comrade in arms. Seeing that the opponent was still calm, he was relieved. Not good. Go and save Ace. The pirates were shocked. But at such a distance, even Whitebeard's shockwave was too late. At the critical moment, Red Hair once again played his outstanding conquerors and directly stunned the 2 execution swordsmen. Do it. Save Ace. The time at this moment is extremely precious. Red Hair no longer waited, jumped off the boat, and flew towards the execution. Behind him, Beckman and others followed closely. Redhead boy. This time, thank you. Whitebeard looked at the back of the red hair, and then shouted. Little ones, don't let Hong send this outsider to lead. Follow me together and rush forward. Whitebeard jumped. It fell on the ice of the harbor and splashed huge waves. Oh! The pirates shouted in unison, with great momentum. Attention all. Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair pirates, we are going to launch a total attack. Dozens of Marine Vice Admiral headquartered and led more than 100,000 Marines to build a strong defense in front of the execution platform. But who are Whitebeard and Redhead? General Marine, to both, is like paper. Especially Whitebeard, hundreds of people were killed and injured between the waves. Whitebeard, if you continue to make trouble like this island will be ruined. With the roar of anger, a huge lava giant fist descended from the sky. This fist was covered with lava, dyeing the entire sky red. Akainu Admiral, Marine, who was almost insecure by the pirates, saw Akainu stop Whitebeard and was overjoyed. Huh! Magma Kid, go and light the cake. A huge lava fist descended on the top of his head, and Whitebeard's right fist was slammed violently. Boom. This is the collision between Admiral and 4 Emperors, and the power is amazing. It seems that even the sky is about to shatter. The other end. A yellow figure also stopped a forward-looking red-hair pirates. Red-haired Shanks, the youngest 4 Emperors, owns the strongest conquerors in the world. It's really scary. Kizaru Paluzolino took out his ears, and then his expression became rare and serious. But, as Marine Admiral, the old man has to regret to tell you that the road ahead is not clear. Kizaru had committed a serious crime in the Punk Hazard incident and was scolded by Sengoku. Although he was not punished due to his admiral status, Kizaru himself understood that he had to make up for it once. Otherwise, in front of other admiral and even his subordinates, it would be difficult for him to raise his head again. Skycloud Sword. Kizaru directly summoned the Skycloud Sword, and the whole body was exuding golden light. Shanks, you go first and leave it to me, Kizaru. With a cigarette in his mouth, Beckman picked up the gun in his hand. Please, Beckman. Beckman's strength is no less than his own. Shanks trusts him extremely. Even in the face of Kizaru, the redhead believes that Beckman can handle it. Kizaru was blocked by Beckman, and the red hair continued to move forward. However, before long, a huge emerald slash struck him without warning. The red hair raised his sword to block. Hawkeye, are you going to stop me? The person who issued that huge slash is naturally the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye. The future is still unclear, and the direction of the times is still unclear. You'd better not act rashly with red hair. Hawkeye stood with his sword, his voice was cold. The red hair sighed, and could only helplessly fight with Hawkeye. So far, the most difficult characters are all stopped by Marine for the time being. The captains of the Whitebeard side, as well as the others from Red Hair Pirates, were also dispatched by Sengoku and were entangled by the Crane, the elite vice admiral, and the remaining Shicibukai. Dover also ended. He chose a captain as his opponent at random, his eyes dark and unpredictable. He is waiting for Kaido and Ant to bring him. Come and stage a great show that shocks the world. Kill. Let these damn it pirates come and go. Go away. We will definitely save Ace. More than 100,000 Marine, and tens of thousands of pirates, staged a large-scale war that is rare in the world at Marineford. People all over the world were stunned. In Sabaody, through the huge phone worm screen, people can clearly see the situation of the war. It's amazing. 4 Emperors red-haired Shanks is also on Whitebeard's side. Marine won't lose, right? There are 2 4 Emperors on the opposite side. I even heard that Kaido and Andy will also come. Huh. Don't think Marine is so weak. Marshal Sengoku and Hero Garp haven't even shot yet. People talked a lot. Although the battlefield did not affect them, they knew it in their hearts. The direction of this war determines the future of the world. An old man with gray hair was also among the crowd. His eyes kept looking at Ace on the execution platform. Are you Roger's son? He's all grown up like this? And when the red-haired Shanks appeared on the stage, the old man said to himself, "Oh. The boys who practiced on the boat with Buggy back then were so manly. Haha, well done, Shanks." This old man is indeed the right and left hand of One Piece, Pluton Rayleigh. It was too late for Rayleigh to learn that Ace was Roger's son, and it was too late to rush to Marineford. Therefore, although he is worried about Ace's safety in his heart, he has no choice but to pin his hopes on Whitebeard and Shanks. When it was another violent collision. Sparks shot in all directions during the handover of the swords, and the owners of both sides involuntarily took a few steps backwards. Red hair, since you missed an arm, I have never played against you again. Unexpectedly, your swordsmanship does not retreat but advances, which surprised me. Hawkeye said with a black knife in his hand. You have made progress too, Hawkeye. Red hair said with the same surprise, I thought your swordsmanship had reached its peak, but I didn't expect there to be room for improvement. It should be because of losing to that guy? The red hair suddenly glanced in a certain direction. That direction is surprisingly where Dover is. Earlier, when Hawkeye lost to Dover, he went to find Redhead once and told him about it. As a result, Dover's name was deeply engraved in the red hair's heart. But from the moment it appeared, the guy named Doflamingo didn't seem to behave abnormally, and his strength seemed unremarkable. However, the more so, the more uneasy there is in the red hare's heart. He always felt that behind this war, there was a pair of invisible hands pushing forward. Those hands are probably Doflamingo. Dover, who was playing a slapstick game with a certain captain under Whitebeard, sensed the red-haired gaze, turned his head, and his gaze happened to meet him. Dover smiled slightly. This person seemed to be aware of something, but it didn't matter. The matter was now. No matter what Shanks did, it would not affect Dover's plan. Seeing the man smile, the red hare's heart jumped, and intense anxiety arose in her heart. Can't wait any longer. Hongfa made up his mind to save Ace before the man did anything. Hawkeye, sorry, I can't spend time with you here anymore, Shanks said solemnly. The western sword in his hand was suddenly covered with a layer of unparalleled haki and turned black. Hawkeye is also awe-inspiring. He knows that the next move for red hair is definitely not easy. Shanks let out a deep cry. God avoid. Immediately slammed the sword, a purple-red arc-shaped slash, sure shot. This trick was learned by Shanks from Captain Roger. It was very powerful, and once flew Kozuki Oden several hundred meters. Good job. Hawkeye raised black sword Yi with both hands high, and fell like lightning, also slashing with a powerful slash. Just when the red hare and the eagle eye are fighting each other. On the other side, the battle between Whitebeard and Akainu was more intense. Dark Hound. Akainu tried his best, and there was lava flowing all over his body, and even the ground around it was melted. However, Akainu's strength is strong, and compared to the current Whitebeard, it is still a little bit behind. I saw Whitebeard wave the clouds and cut it, which directly caused a large-scale airshock and earthquake. The atmosphere is broken. Dark Hound is broken. The entire marine headquarters shook violently, and countless buildings collapsed. Akainu was knocked out by this terrifying force, rolled dozens of meters on the ground, coughing up blood. Magma Kid, disappear for the old man. Whitebeard took advantage of the victory and pursued, leaping into the air, wrapped in a wave of vibration energy under his feet, and stepped on Akainu. Compared with the Whitebeard who is the top war in the original book, the younger Whitebeard at this moment is undoubtedly more powerful and terrifying. If we say that Whitebeard, whose body is aging and suffering from illness in the original book, has only 50% of the strength of his peak period, then, today's Whitebeard has at least 80% of the strength of the peak period. Such strength, even Marine Admiral, is difficult to resist for a while. Sengoku, who was on the execution platform, scanned the audience, frowning. Although the enemy has been blocked, it is only temporary, and the situation is still not optimistic. Especially on Whitebeard's side, Sakazuki is probably not the former's opponent. Come on. Meet the two execution officers again and put Ace to death. Sengoku will take advantage of the opportunity that Whitebeard and Red Hair are still blocked, and execute immediately. The two execution officers came up quickly. Without saying anything, they raised the machete and slashed towards Ace's neck. The blade is biting. It seems that the next moment, Ace's head is about to fall to the ground. Do it. Execute Roger's son Ace. Under Sengoku's repeated orders, the two execution officers raised their long knives and slashed towards Ace's neck. Now, although 2-4 emperors came to rescue Ace. However, Whitebeard was blocked by Akainu. The red hair was stopped by the eagle eye. The strong men such as Marco and Beckman under the two men were also entangled by the strong men on the marine side. For a while, no one had the extra energy to stop this scene. Ace. Papa Whitebeard's eyes are splitting. Get out of lousy. How is it possible, Whitebeard? With blood flowing on Akainu's face, Whitebeard's attack hurt him, but it was not enough to kill him. Dog biting the Red Lotus. 77. The arm turned into a giant lava dog and galloped towards Whitebeard. Damn it. Whitebeard furiously struck out a violent airshock. But in this way, although Akainu's attack was smashed, it was too late to save Ace. Crucial. Just when Sengoku was sure, this time Ace could not escape. Sudden. The ice in the harbor shattered large pieces. Inside, there was a loud shout. The sea flows over the shoulder. Immediately afterwards, I saw a huge water column rising into the sky. It hit the two execution officers directly, beat the two out. Ace is saved. The pirate party was surprised and inexplicable. Who on earth saved Ace? Contrary to the surprise of the pirates, Marine, especially Sengoku, was furious. Asshole. Which asshole did it again? Sengoku stared at the broken ice in the harbor. A blue shadow floated up. Sengoku's pupils contracted violently, and he couldn't believe it. Jinbei, it's actually you? Aren't you impelled down? Immediately, Sengoku seemed to have thought of some terrible guess, and asked in a hurry. What's the matter? How did you come out? What's wrong with impelled down? What's wrong with Magellan? Facing Sengoku's stormy questioning, Jinbei opened his mouth and said. Rain Shiryu rebelled and released all the criminals of the 6th level of impelled down. Now, the entire impelled down has been destroyed by them. Only Magellan was rescued by me. This can be regarded as the old man repaying Marine's kindness over the years. Boom. Jinbei's few words are tantamount to a bolt from the blue, hitting Sengoku's heavenly spirit cover. Sengoku only felt his head dizzy and almost fainted. And the whole Marineford, and even the world, are boiling because of these few words of Jinbei. Fake? Fake? Ha ha ha. Impelled down is a copper wall and iron wall, how could it be destroyed? It must be the pirate deliberately messing up our military spirit. Some people are skeptical, but Marine, who winks a little, knows that what Jinbei said is likely to be true. At the same time, people all over the world are talking about it. The big prison has been destroyed, won't those murderous criminals come out? Although I don't like celestial dragons, this time, I still hope that Marine can win and catch those criminals back. Is the world going to change? People were horrified. Even Whitebeard and Red Hair were stunned for a while. But Whitebeard didn't think much about it. Saving Ace is the most important thing right now. Jinbei, thank you for being here in time. Father. Jinbei crawled out of the sea. Ace is also my companion. I also want to fight to save Ace. The Red Hair on the other side thought more than Whitebeard. Impelled down unexpectedly happened that kind of situation. Redhead looks at Hawkeye. Is this the man's handwriting? Hawkeye was actually quite surprised by this, and shook his head to indicate that he didn't know. The other person is here, you can ask him yourself. Naturally, the two pointed to Moore. The Red Hair couldn't help but glanced in the direction where Dover was. After a long time, sighed. This person can defeat Eagle Eye in Kendo, but the Red Hair is not sure that he can beat him, so what else? The Redhead guessed right. The real murderer who destroyed Impel Down was indeed Dover. Seeing Jinbei's arrival, Dover knew that Crocodile and others' goals had been achieved. They will come here too soon, presumably. However, he said that Marine was in shock for a long time because of the news that Impel Down was destroyed. A big bird entwined with blue flames flew straight towards the execution platform. No, it's Marco the Phoenix, he is going to save Ace. It's careless, let him get so close to the execution platform. Marine finally reacted and quickly raised his gun at Marco. Bang bang bang. The bullet hit Marco's body, only splashing small waves, with no effect at all. Ace. I'm here to save you. Margot laughed. Ace stared blankly at Marco, who was getting closer and closer, tears streaming down uncontrollably. Papa, Red Hair, Jinbei, Marco, and countless friends. All are fighting blood to save him. Ace has never been born like this, and feels the preciousness of life. However, just as Marco was about to board the execution platform, an unexpected scene happened again. A tall and stalwart figure jumped into the air. There is pain in his eyes. The fist is straightforward. A punch on Marco's neck. Marco failed to respond in time and was shot directly out, hitting the ground heavily. The real body appeared. Boom. After the figure flew off Marco, he sat in the middle of the three admiral. When everyone looked at it, they couldn't help changing their colors. Because hero Garp, let it go. The one who fisted Faye Marco was the Marine hero Garp. Garp is known as the Marine hero, and his status is similar to that of Marshal Sengoku, even above him. Just because there are too many legends circulating on him. Dozens of times chased and killed the Pirate King Roger pirates, driving Roger into a desperate situation. Joined forces with Sengoku to throw the legendary pirate Golden Lion into the great undersea prison. Blast the cone of the green pepper with one punch and so on. This is still a familiar legend. In addition, if you and Roger defeated the Rocks pirate that once dominated the era before Roger, few people know. And the leader of the revolutionary army considered by the world government to be the most murderous criminal is also Garp's son. This series of legendary events, both openly and secretly, created the title of Garp Marine Hero and created the myth of Garp. It's no wonder that as soon as one shot it, it immediately caused everyone present to change their colors. Marine Party. Great momentum. Garp Vice Admiral is our Marine's strongest guard. With him, what else is terrible? Yeah. Garp Vice Admiral is the strongest seaman. The pirates were caught in a riot. Is that the legendary hero Garp? Even Captain Marco is not an opponent. What a terrible guy. After all, they are the previous generation of strong men who hunted down the pirate king Roger. The voice is full of voices. Garp's shot also greatly exceeded Sengoku's expectations. Sengoku thought that Ace was raised by Garp after all, and it would be good if Garp could do nothing extraordinary in this war. Never hoped that Garp would help his side. Garp, I didn't force you to act. Sengoku stared at Garp, wanting to see what the old comrade was thinking. Huh. Garp folded his arms around his chest, and a domineering aura spread out. The old man is also marine. Also, did Sengoku, impel down make you mess up? The war in front of you is not over yet. Facing Garp's question, Sengoku's rare old face blushed. Just now, he did fall into a loss of consciousness. If it weren't for Garp's critical moment, maybe Ace had been rescued. In that way, Marine's defeat would be irreversible. Sengoku took a deep breath and suppressed impel down. In any case, the war in front of you is the most important, never fail. At the same time, Whitebeard shouted, Lil ones, that's just a decadent veteran, don't be frightened by his name. Prompted the pirates to weaken slightly because of Garp's panic. Whitebeard, don't forget the enemy in front of you. Akainu hit a real fire and was repeatedly suppressed by Whitebeard, making him angry. Great eruption. Whitebeard was careless and slightly injured. Although this injury is not a serious problem, it evoked the pain that has been latent in his body. Whitebeard ran after him, his reaction slowed by a beat. Akainu won the power and continued to attack, but he got back around for a while. Marineford. The war is back, and the intensity of the battle is even more fierce than before. At this time, Dover suddenly solved the captain who had been entangled with him. He turned over and suddenly came to the side of Empress Hancock. With a big hand, the latter's slender and soft waist stayed upstairs. Hancock didn't expect that Dover would make this move in full view. For a moment, his face flushed as if to drip blood. The Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Mole, not far from Hancock, happened to see this scene, and his eyes were about to bulge out. This Doflamingo actually did such a move to the Empress Boa Hancock? Also, isn't the Empress hating men the most? Why is there no resistance at all? The mole only felt that his worldview had collapsed. I think the last time he went to Amazon Lily Island to invite the Empress, how cold and arrogant the Empress was, and almost killed him. But now, he is acting like a shy little woman. This abnormal situation was also quickly noticed by Sengoku, who had the widest view. The brows can't help but frown deeply. Heavenly Yaksha, the pirate Empress, when did the two of them get together? To be honest, Sengoku was under too much pressure in this battle. Not only must he fully resist the onslaught of Whitebeard and Red Hair pirates, but he must also try to keep Marineford safe, and he must also resist the pressure from 5 elders. So that, in order not to cause accidental, Sengoku never went to the trouble of Dover, who had blackmailed him twice. However, this does not mean that Sengoku has forgotten Dover. In fact, before the war, Sengoku had instructed the Red Dog to stare at Doflamingo. However, Akainu fought violently against Whitebeard. Sengoku had no choice but to separate a part of his mind and stare at Dover. And the latter has not shown any abnormality. Let Sengoku feel a little relaxed. But now Sengoku furrowed his brows, a little uneasy, and was about to question Dover. Suddenly, a bloody Marine Vice Admiral rushed to Sengoku's side. Didn't you go out to search for Kaido and Andy's traces? How did it become like this? Sengoku was shocked and ignored Dover for a while, and quickly helped Vice Admiral, who was seriously injured and dying, up. The Vice Admiral grabbed Sengoku's hand, and a few words came out from his throat. Marshal Sengoku, Kaido and Big Mom are here then, the person died of excessive blood loss. What did you say? Sengoku shook his entire body. At this moment, in full view, Dover Lu was in his arms. Hancock didn't expect this at all. Her flawless face seemed to become a burning cloud in the sky, red and hot. Especially, it was the first time that she was so close to Dover. Although he didn't say anything, Hancock had made up for this scene countless times. At this moment, in Hancock's brain, she and Dover were holding hands and walking in the wide and bright church, and everyone looked at them with envy. Such brain supplements made Hancock's pretty face even more red. The heart seems to stop. The mind was dizzy. Finally, Hancock barely recovered a trace of clarity, exhausted all his strength, and wanted Dover to let her go quickly. But I couldn't say anything when I reached my throat. Dover heard Hancock's voice and looked down at the woman in his arms. Compared with Hancock's unparalleled beauty, the cute appearance of Tsunere, whose mouth is wrong, makes Dover even more fond of. Dover took Hancock into the air and came to the high platform far away from the battlefield. Let go of Hancock, deep and inexplicable words came from his mouth. It's a really good show, it's the beginning, little Hancock. Little Hancock? Oh my God, he called me little Hancock. Hancock, who had been let go by Dover and wanted to get up, heard this title, and he felt as if his whole body was out of breath, and weakly softened on Dover's chest. Women are made of water, and Hancock at this time is like a stream of autumn water in Dover's arms. A long time. Hancock asked with a hint of strength just now. What did you say? Compared to Hancock's tenderness and weakness, Sengoku was undoubtedly full of anger when he said this. What are you talking about? Sengoku glared at the vice admiral who came to report, but the latter was dead. Rest in peace. Sengoku reacted and reached out and wiped vice admiral's eyes. Then, Sengoku stood up. In an instant, countless thoughts turned in Sengoku's mind. Kaido and Auntie are really here. Add white beard and red hair, and the 4 emperors are all here. As for the 4 emperors, even if there are contradictions, in Marineford, they will definitely deal with Marine first. Plus the change of Impel down, the old man has to suspect that this is a conspiracy against Marine. The deeper Sengoku thinks, the deeper the horror in his heart. If we say, this man-made conspiracy against Marine. So, has this conspiracy started long, long ago? Sengoku suddenly remembered something, and suddenly raised his head to look for a figure. But, not found. Blackbeard is gone. It should have been gone since last night. Sengoku's fists couldn't help clenching tightly. Ace was handed over to Marine by Blackbeard, and it was the fuse at the beginning of this war. The conspiracy probably started from then. Damn, it's Blackbeard. Sengoku hated Blackbeard at the moment. When he wanted to come, Blackbeard, who disappeared, must be one of the people behind this conspiracy. And Blackbeard alone is far from having that much energy, there should be others. Kaido and Ant may be involved, and the chief among them. Sengoku suddenly turned his gaze to the distance, the man who is now competing with the world's best beauty. Doflamingo. Sengoku yelled angrily. Are you doing all this? Sengoku thought about all possible masters. In the end, the main envoy is most likely to be present, and only Heavenly Yaksha, High Rogue. Although the battle was fierce, Sengoku's sudden roar still attracted the attention of many people. Especially Aokiji, who hasn't done much effort. Buddha Howl, seeing Sengoku's eyes that seemed to eat him, Aokiji, Hawkeye, Redhead and others were also secretly paying attention here. Dover let out a meaningful laugh, shrugged and said lightly. Who knows? Although there is no answer, it can be regarded as some kind of answer in disguise. Even if Sengoku realized that Doflamingo must be related to this conspiracy against Marine. Hateful. There has long been information that he has contact with 4 Emperors Kaido, and he has a lot of power in the dark world. If he were not Shicibukai, the old man should have resolved this scourge sooner. Since Dover blackmailed Sengoku billions of Baileys for the first time, and let Garp and Crane come home, Sengoku has been on Dover. It's just that Dover acts secretly, and after all, it is 7 warlords of the sea. Sengoku has nothing to do with it. Now, even if Sengoku regrets it, it won't help. The most important thing at the moment is to solve the immediate trouble before Kaido and the Ant arrive. Sengoku immediately looked at Ace, with a hint of pity in his eyes. With his mind, naturally, he quickly realized that Ace should be the red-haired pawn thrown by those people to attract Marine and Whitebeard. I have to say that this chess piece was chosen really well, and everyone took the bait. Sengoku sighed. Portkas d Ace, although you were also a victim, but now, for Marine, the old man must put you to death. Let's talk about it. Sengoku made a decision that he would personally execute Ace. It's not that Sengoku didn't want to solve Dover first, but that Dover was too far away, and Sengoku couldn't see through his strength. In desperation, Sengoku can only take the lead in getting rid of Ace, eliminating the hope of Whitebeard and Redhead. Just as Sengoku was about to incarnate as the Great Buddha and execute Ace. Without warning, a thunder in the sky suddenly exploded. Immediately afterwards, the wind and clouds changed color. The endless black clouds covered the sky above Marineford in the blink of an eye. It was even more accompanied by a pressure that made Marine Vice Admiral's soul tremble. Sengoku's face changed, and he looked up at the sky. It's so quick to make up, undoubtedly. Beast Kaido and Big Mom arrive. The dark sky contains an inexplicable and terrifying coercion. That coercion seemed to be the height of the biological level, and it seemed to look down into the soul. The entire Marineford, anyone below the elite Vice Admiral strength, has the urge to kneel down and worship with weak legs. What happened? Is it going to rain? With such a depressed atmosphere, God is angry. People were frightened and inexplicably, whether it was Marine or pirate, the movements of their hands stopped. Even 4 emperors such as Whitebeard and Red Hair, and even Marine admirals such as Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji, all escaped the battle and stared up into the sky. Boom. While the dark clouds were rolling, the thundersnake ran away, and the lightning was everywhere. It seems to be gestating a super thunderstorm, which is about to bring the world to the extreme. This terrible scene is also spread through videophone worms and is seen by people all over the world. It's terrible. Is the end of the world coming? Did the redhead Shanks say that Kaido and Big Mom are going to Marineford too? It's probably their ghosts. If it's really them, then there will be more than 750 Malin fans who have gathered all the 4 emperors. Hiss. It's horrible. Marine is in big trouble. People all over the world can't help but hold their breath, staring at the image projected by the phone worm. Are those above the sky, Kaido and 4 emperors ant? But the average person is shocked, and Whitebeard, as the strongest man in the world, doesn't have that kind of emotion. Whitebeard squinted slightly, looked at the gloomy sky, and sneered. Kaido, Charlotte Linlin, do you want to ride this muddy water too? Above the sky, a purple thunder lightning struck down and hit a Marine. The seaman immediately passed out with smoke from his head. This thunder seemed to respond to Whitebeard, as if saying, our enemy is Marine. Damn, it's Kaido, ant, dare to be so arrogant. Being slapped in the face like this, Sengoku became angry and roared up to the sky. Kaido, Kaido, Big Mom, since it's here, do you want to hide your head and show your tail? Sengoku's voice resounded across the sky, possessing a certain powerful power, making the dark clouds roar violently. Well, well. As expected of the man standing on the top of Marine, Haki is really tyrannical. In the dark clouds, there was a sharp sound. I wanted to take the opportunity to kill Marine's spirit, but it seems like a failure. Another vigorous voice followed. Huh, Kaido, you still can't get rid of your favorite tricks. I said it can't work. The sharp voice Kaido. The dark clouds gradually dissipated. 2 huge figures were revealed. A body is comparable to a giant race, with a shrill voice, and a breath that makes the soul tremble all over. It is the soul and fruit ability, the 4 emperors and Charlotte Linlin. The other figure is bigger and more terrifying. Because that is not a person, but a creature. The whole body presents a cyan brilliance, and the limbs are surrounded by purple thunder and lightning. Surprisingly, it is a blue dragon that soars through the clouds and fog. Qinglong vomited. Linlin, you don't give me too much face, right? Seeing this scene, countless people were shocked. Dragon. It's actually a dragon. This kind of mythical and legendary creature actually exists. It can still speak. Can it be that there is still wisdom? The people at Marineford were pale, and they were fighting. Especially on the Marine side, they were even more terrified. The visual impact that B-Beg brings to people is really too great. Also, it was aimed at their marine. Don't panic, everyone. Aware of the panic spreading on Marine's side, Garp stood up, looked at the blue dragon in the sky, and said, "It's just a flying loach, don't be afraid." Sengoku also spoke immediately afterwards. "Kaido is a fish fruit eternal beast blue dragon form, that is his ability changed, don't be fooled by appearances." With Garp and Sengoku, the two marine Dingai's sacred needles, the marines immediately found the backbone. "It turned out to be like this, I thought it was a real Shenlong. HMPH, even if it is a real dragon, if Garp Vice Admiral and Marshal Sengoku are there, you have to lie on your stomach." Marine's panic gradually dissipated, and his morale gradually recovered. The ant sneered. "Just say it's useless." "Not always." The Kaido dragon's head moved and his mouth opened wide. The surging heat gathered in his mouth. Heat. The heat gathered into an energy ball, which was then ejected by Kaido, turning into a huge red pillar of fire. In the original book, Kaido used this technique to destroy a mountain easily. And looking at the direction that the heat is aimed at, it is the main building of Marineford, Marine's base camp. On the wide wall, the magnificent Marine is engraved. Above it, there is a plaque that says, "Justice." Not good. Sengoku's face changed drastically, and he instantly understood Kaido's intentions. However, it has no effect. Kaido's attack was so sudden that Sengoku couldn't stop it at this moment. Boom. The heat pierced through the huge marine wall, just in the middle of the word, marine, and opened a big hole. As for the plaque with, "Justice," written on it, it was directly burned into ashes by the heat of ultimate. "Kaido, you bastard." Sengoku's voice was full of monstrous anger. Kaido, who did this, laughed wildly. The huge body gradually shrank and turned into a human form. Kaido's face is fierce, his muscles are like hills, his eyes suddenly looked at a certain stalwart figure, and he shouted a word that shocked the whole world. "We have come. Hurry up and start this war to destroy the world." Joker. Kaido sounded like a thunderous roar. Words that destroy the world. All are terrifying. People can't help but follow Guy's eyes. Immediately, he was dumbfounded. "That's 7 warlords of the sea, Doflamingo?" Kaido calls him Joker, is he the legendary middleman in the dark? Also, the pirate empress, who has always hated men, actually lay in his arms. Who is he? Except for a handful of people, almost no one knows Dover and his role in this war, and few people know his weight today. Therefore, the vast majority of people only regard it as an ordinary Shicibukai. In this strong battlefield on the top of the cloud, it has not been taken too seriously. Such as Akainu, although Sengoku let him pay attention to Dover before the war. But Akainu didn't care about this at all. In his opinion, Whitebeard is the target that needs to be guarded. But now, Kaido's words, no matter how stupid people are, they also know. The man named Doflamingo is by no means simple. The court fell into a kind of weird silence. Everyone's eyes focused on the man full of mystery. Ha ha ha, being so noticed, Dover let out a chuckle. He put his arms around Hancock's thin waist, stepped out, and rose into the air. In full view, he walked towards Kaido in the sky. "Kaido, you called me by my name like that, but you suddenly made me a target of public criticism." Dover said playfully. Kaido laughed and said nonchalantly, "The overthrow of Marine is here, Joker, with your ability. Sooner or later it will resound in the world." When he said so, Kaido smiled triumphantly in his heart. He yelled Joker under the spotlight, of course not to make Dover famous. Kaido's real purpose is to expose Dover to Marine, so that Dover has nowhere to go, and it is impossible to betray them. Although he had seen Dover's memory from Pudding earlier. But Kaido still had doubts, for fear that Dover would go back, so he resorted to such a small trick to expose Dover in advance. Dover looked deep. He couldn't see Kaido's careful thinking, but it didn't matter. War is destined to be inevitable, and everything is in Dover's plan. This little bit is of no importance. Doflamingo, you really are the master behind the scenes. At this moment, Dover no longer needs to hide. And Sengoku finally confirmed what he had just guessed. What the hell is going on? What does that sea gangster have to do with this war? Garp walked up, his expression more serious than ever. The development of the matter really exceeded his expectations. Not only did the 4 emperors come to Marineford together, but it also seemed that Doflamingo had planned for a long time. If the old man guessed correctly, this war is clearly a conspiracy against Marine. Sengoku glanced at Dover, Kaido, and the ant, and said solemnly, "Garp. Now this is not just a war for the execution of Roger's son, but also a battle for Marineford and even the entire Marine." "Sengoku, what do you mean?" Garp's eyes widened, and he couldn't talk. "Their real purpose is to destroy Marine." The words came out. "The whole world is horrified and shocked. Destroy Marine. This is simply a fantasy. You know, Marine, as the strongest power on the sea, is unimaginable in terms of strength and depth. How can it be so easy to destroy Marine?" People's first reaction was not to believe it, and many people, including Marine himself, found it ridiculous. However, after calming down and thinking about the current situation, people were silent, and a chill from the depths of their hearts spread all over the body. Look around. On the battlefield at this moment, who are Marine's enemies? Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, and 43 pirate groups under his command. 4 emperors' red-haired shanks, as well as powerful men such as Beckman under his command. And Kaido and Big Mom that have just arrived, and that mysterious Joker. Such a terrifying lineup is no less than Marine's side. At most, there is still a gap in military strength. However, the gap in military strength will soon disappear. I only heard that a seaman with excellent eyesight on the coast suddenly shouted, "There are enemies. There are enemies. It's a huge fleet." On the sea level in the distance, dozens of ships are sailing. Above it, all are pirates. Upon closer inspection, there are pirates from Wano-kuni, such as the Flame Embers and the Plague Quinn. There are aunts from Perispero, Daifuku, Owen and others from all over the world. It's Kaido and the ants' fleet here. The number is tens of thousands of people. Shouts of fear and shock resounded all over Marineford. At this time, Marine's advantage in military strength has completely disappeared. And, not only that, there is also a warship approaching on the sea. Is it reinforcements? Marine asked hopefully. Sengoku looked at the approaching warship with a gloomy face. He knew that it could not be Marine's reinforcements. He had already guessed vaguely who was on the warship. Ha 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 ha. Is this war? There are so many people here. You can kill now. The figure on the warship was revealed. People's eyes are glaring. Those people turned out to be criminals from the 6th floor of Impel Down in the Great Prison.